Dothraki in front, Trapeze Artist under plenty of pressure, but Elise is really starting to wind up now, and Shin's barely touched the mare. Elise moves up to join Dothraki. Le Romain goes to third, but Elise, this has been pretty soft coming from last, and she extends clear in the expressway to beat Le Romain. Dothraki third, Trapeze Artist needed it, and Hartnell was about 3 lengths off at the rear.
That was Elise winning the Expressway Stakes. The last time she was at Rosehill in a small field, and she was pretty comfortable in winning that race as well. Let's turn our focus to Sydney now and welcome in Brad Gray on the phone to discuss the Missile Stakes Day, which does feature Elise. Just a small field, Brad, but looks like a bit of talent in there. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you, Aid. You know, when the Missile Stakes rolls around, that spring's not far away, and you're right, we've got a couple of really nice animals. Resuming here, one of those is Elise. I've got no doubt that she's one of the best sprinters in the country. And that sounds funny to say that because she's won a couple of races at Group 1 level over the mile. Trained as a fresh sprinter, she can mix it with pretty much any sprinter in the country, I think. And the odds certainly reflect how much dominance she has over this field. $1.50, I think that's probably about the right odds. But off her trial, she looks to come back in really good order, and I can't wait to see the big tank back.
Good. We saw Le Romain second in that expressway that was shown you. Let's just go back and have a look at the trial from Elise. What did you make of her performance this day at Randwick, Brett?
Yeah, I think this is exactly what we wanted to see from her. She just, in the first trial, it was a bit quiet. The second one, this is a wet track. She doesn't necessarily like wet tracks. She was held together, hit the line really sweetly. Her action looked good. She's obviously come back in very good order. You can read into trials what you will, but to me it just suggests that she certainly hasn't lost any of her zest for racing, now being a 5-year-old mare. And as I say, I think the odds certainly reflect how hard she is to beat. Le Romain is amongst the dangers, I guess. He's a warrior, isn't he? He just turns up every campaign and does his thing. And the up-and-comer is Vega Days. Obviously got that form through the autumn sun. It was a dominant 3-year-old. Speaking of trials, Vega Days' trials have been outstanding. He looks really strengthened up, and he looks a natural leader here. So if he can pinch a little bit of a break on the turn, it might give Elise something to run down.
Yeah, exactly. I guess there's potential for one of these horses to develop into an Everest contender, is there, Brett?
100%. And I think if punters are looking at that $1.50 and thinking, I wonder how forward Elise is going to be, she's going to be on show here today because this is her Everest trial. So she'll really want to stand up and put a bit of a gap in these if she is going to go on to an Everest. And I think she's certainly good enough to run in an Everest and win an Everest. So I'd love to see her put a couple of lengths on these and certainly come into calculations for the big race come October.
Yeah, exactly. The other one that we're really interested in is the Rosebud listed race over the 1,100 metres for the new 3-year-olds. How are you assessing these horses?
Yeah, it's an interesting race, isn't it? Because you've got to weigh up. This time of year, there's always that little conundrum for punters weighing up the race-fit winter horses who are fit and flying against those presuming. And Lucicello is that race-fit winter horse. She's really hit a purple patch of form at the moment, and there's so much strength about the way she's finished off her races. She's won her last 2, albeit in easier grade. The little query, I guess, here is back to 1,100 metres, but there looks to be a lot of speed in this particular race. You've got Cardiff rolling along, Escaped, Gay and Waterhouse of Adrian Bott keeping it company. So they should roll on a really good clip. 1,100 metres. If she can just tack on entering the straight, she's got a finish that's really powerful. All of the money has been for Dawn Passage for Gay and Adrian. You know, this is a horse that won really impressively at Randwick on debut over 1,000 metres in some really slick time before going down to Castelvecchio at Warwick Farm in the Inglis Millennium. There's certainly no shame going down to a horse of that quality. I'm with Lucicello in a really tricky race. It's actually a really tricky day across Rosehill with a couple of shorties, but a bit of confidence the way Lucicello's going, and 53 kilos on her back. I think she'll be rushing home. It'll be really hard to hold out.
Okay, yeah. What have you found from us from the other races on the card at Rosehill today, Brett?
Yeah, there's a bit of action later in the day. I have made Lucicello the best. I think we can play. Hopefully, we might even get a little better. If we get $4, I'd be certainly betting with a bit of confidence. Outside of that, a couple of odds. Desert Path in race 7 over the 2,000-metre event. This is a horse that what we've seen today from this import is that he runs to a bit of a pattern. First up last prep, he did fire a shot and then came out and ran a really good race there. Second up in a benchmark 88. Here he's in a benchmark 78 off a very similar lead-up. His run down at Caulfield looked a little bit nondescript over the mile, but he tacked on late. And if he bounces out of that the same way he did last campaign to attack the line second up, in an easier race. I think he's really hard to beat here, and he might play a little role over the carnival for Chris Waller. And race 8, Dawn for Team Hawks. I think she's a bit of an underrated mare this. She'll get a lovely run just in behind the speed. The 2 trials have been good, and first up last campaign, she was taking ground off some really good horses in a Group 3, running home comparable splits to Booker, who went on to win an Oakley Plate. So although the 6th and 7th there doesn't look to do much for Punters' confidence on paper last time in, I think she's a lot better than that. And her win over Easy Eddie 2 preps back certainly suggests she's in a race for this right up to her ears. So I think she's around $9, $10. I think that's a really good gamble. That's race 8, number 9.
Sounds good to me. Appreciate your time this morning, Brad. Best of luck with your selections, and to our punters at home, good luck if you are following Brad through the card as well.